Hello, hopefully you can see me on YouTube. Bear with me one moment and just waiting for the connection to go through for the group. There we go. So, good afternoon everyone and welcome to our last stream of 2024. So this one's all about 2025, so onwards and upwards. Probably not going to be too many mentions of Christmas. So I'm on a bit of a use it up or lose it kind of spell at the moment. So I thought, what can I do that is going to help me get through my stash a little bit? So I've cracked open you know how you collect paper pads and you just want to stroke them and never actually use them? Here we go. Gonna use it, break into it, and let's create a day book for next year. So I've done a little bit of prep ahead of time and actually started to cut my covers and things like that. So my first piece is about 17.5 by 24.8 centimeters. So that's measuring from the spine to the outside edge. So we're keeping this binding in place. So that's going to be a feature of our final project. But I thought it'd be really nice, rather than having to use two sheets of the same paper to do front and back, to actually kind of mix it up a little. So I've also pulled out a lovely piece of like wood pattern paper from the same pad so that we can have a bit of a contrast. Now for me, for 2025, going for foil is absolutely perfect because I'm going to be writing a book about foil, so it makes sense for me to go for something with foil. But you could be using any paper you want. If you're a beginner, what I would say is just make sure that you use something that is not directional. As you get more confident, by all means go for directions and away you go. Okay, so what I want to do is actually cut this on an angle. So we're going to go from just above our rounded corner up to the top corner. Now I've already rounded my corners because I've got a rounded corner notebook. So you can just use your standard corner rounder, whichever size fits your notebook best. And then we'll go from there. So let's bring in the trimmer. And let's do our cutting. So I'm hoping that the stream is all right because at the moment I don't have any comments. So I'm going to line it up. Let's see if I can get that just on camera. Just above this rounded corner here. And I want to make sure that I go to the point the other end. Now I've also prepped this card going through as iron. So I already have the adhesive applied to the back. So if you want to use gel medium or bookbinding glue, something like that, that is absolutely fine. I've just done that for speed today. Okay, so then we have our piece here and we can make sure that fits. Then with the second piece, what I've done is I've just trimmed it to the width, so the 17.5 centimeters. So if I've come in here, you see again it goes up to the spine to the edge, but I've kept the full 12-inch length and I've rounded the corners of both ends. Because this is not directional, we can flip it round. But as I said, if you get a bit more confident, then you can go directional and go from there. So just to help me measure this, I'm just going to fix this bottom edge. And you don't want to fix it any further than your trimmed point at the bottom. So hence I've left that kind of little bit of a gap just to complete that. And I've given myself room for error. So let's pop that onto there. I'm just going to stick that down and then I can see straight away how things are fitting. Then I can bring in this piece here. I can lay it over the top, and I'm just going to take it over to the left a little, just so I can kind of see where I'm lining up. Now, if your backing paper's getting in the way, let's just trim that a little bit closer where we need to mark. Okay, let's grab a pencil and line it up on the edge there, and up at the top. I'm just going to get a little pencil mark there, and I know that we're going up to that top corner. So if somebody can tell me that it's all gone through okay, that would be great. Ooh, watch the desk. Get lynched by the boss house. So let's line up that pencil mark, and we're going up to that top corner. Ah, hi Mum. So let's bring this back in, and we should now have our perfect matching piece for our notebook cover, like so. So let's now peel this away. I'm just going to very gently line that up, like so. And let's take our second piece. And again, I'm just going to peel back just a strip so that I can get that lined up, rather than peeling it all off in one go. Hope you can hear me okay. So let's pop that onto there, like so. And there we go. Perfect. And if you want to kind of cover that join with foil tape, then you can do. Okay, now let's do the same for the back. So this time we're going to go this way round, and just check everything is working how you want it. So again, I'm going to peel off that section at the bottom. Like so. Line that up. Down the bottom. Make sure that's all lining up properly. The good thing about notebook cover is that they're usually gloss coated, and that gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So if you don't get it right first time, you can kind of readjust. Okay, now let's get our next piece on. And I'm going to line up to that top edge. Grab our pencil, and let's just mark that there. And likewise down the bottom, just do another mark. And get your trimmer back. Thank you. let's get a pencil mark, and I'm going to line that up to the line on my trimmer. Line it up to the top edge. Measure twice, cut once. There we go. Gives us a little strip that we can use for something else as well. So, all the other cuts that I have, I've either used for other elements within the actual project itself, or I will use for page layouts at some point in the future. So, let's double check that everything is lining up as it should. Yep, that's looking pretty close. Corner down the bottom is a bit off, but I think that's going to be fixable. Okay, so let's go for it. So I'm going to peel the backing off. Then just going to follow that edge and try and make sure that it stays on the edge of my notebook. And do the same the other way around. So working from that top rounded corner. So we have some quite exciting plans for next year, so this playbook's going to certainly be coming in handy. And let's get this down to here. And there we go. And we have our notebook ready to go. So let's set that to one side for a moment. And I've already pre-cut some little 3x4 cutout cards. So I have some done with plain inkjet card, so not super duper thick. It's about 220 GSM. And I also have done some cut pots out of the actual paper pad itself, so if your paper pad has those, feel free to use them. It's going to give you a coordinated look. But if you don't panic. You can still either create some on computer if you feel confident in design packages, or use your stamps to actually create your own. Okay, so let's get my trusty stamp platform. Get my scissors out of the way. And we're going to be using clear stamps today, so I'm just going to turn my stamp platform round. And we're going to pop our little cutout card not quite up into the top corner, so I'm going to use the grid that I've put into my stamp platform to actually stick that card down to. Now let's go for our first set of stamps. So these are by Gets Gritty, and they were in the Papercraft Society box. But I must admit, I had them for my birthday a couple of years ago, I think. So it's about time I had a play. And I'm going to go for this type of stamp here. So it says, "You light me up, shine bright, make life, love, glow, my positive by infinity power formula," which, if you just stamp it as is, isn't going to make lots of sense, but you can actually cut into them. Should have released this off the backing first. Oh dear, it's one of those. But yeah, last live of the year, and it's been a couple of weeks. going to do any more lives this year. But I thought, well, you know, every penny in pound, do one last one. There we go, we're getting there. Hey! So I can actually cut into this one and make our own sentences. So, do you like me up? Would be quite apt, so let's cut that one out first. And I'm just going to cut this pretty close to the words, but not too close. You want to have a bit of support behind them else they won't stamp quite right. So if ever you've done like rubber stamp, putting out for stamp out and things, then place. Okay, so you might, and I'm going to go landscape actually, so you light me up. And when we're actually laying out text, oh, is the mic playing up? Let me see if I can fix that. Is that better? Is that having a mind of its own today? So, if you can let me know if that's any better. Let's go for I'm going to go for Make Life Glow. Kind of makes sense with the foiling. Thank you. I think it just knocked my jacket. He was trying to come off. So, make life and glow. God, I love it when your scissors are misbehaving as well. Come on. Time for a sharpening and clean. It's one of those jobs that you kind of do over the Christmas break, isn't it? Reset everything and just and I think I'm going to leave the rest of those for now. So let's get these onto my platform and then we can worry about getting it straight. So I can just reposition very slightly to get things level and spaced. On the other hand, they could just jump everywhere. What is about me today, honestly? Everything's in a holiday frame of mind. Even Mike was like, nope, I don't want to come on today. I've had enough. I'm off. Come on. Doesn't want to stick today. There we go. And I think it's so warm that they're just like, nope, don't want to do it. Okay, I'll go a bit more higgledy-piggledy then. And I want to go for something that isn't too overpowering, so that I can still stamp those sentiment over the top. So I'm just going to start off with some antique linen and see how we go from there. It's got two chances. It'll either be like too light and we just go again, or that's not bad. There's always one that has to go upside down. That's okay, because we're going to turn this one upside down anyway. And line that up in the same place. As I said, this is kind of just for texture in the background, hence this light coloured stamp. So I'm using antique linen just to kind of give it a little bit of colour, so it's not bright white when you've been using like some natural toned papers and things. Okay, and let's go from there, sort those out in a bit, and let's pull out the next stamp. I'm going to go for You're in Your Prime. Let's go for that one just there. Now this time I'm going to stamp with something that is a whole lot stronger. So this time I go for VersaFine Clair in the Pine Cone. And it's one of my favourites at the moment, I have to admit. I just find it's really good ink for colouring with and watercolouring, and that's what I tend to do a lot of at the moment. There we go. So, You're in Your Prime. And again, set that to one side, clean them later. I will, honest. And let's carry on building up this kind of texture in the background with some of the worker stamps. So I'm going to go for a kind of molecular stamp. And this time I'm going to go for something a little bit stronger. So let's go to this brush corduroy. So it's kind of between the two. And we'll pop that on there. And again, we'll do the same, rotate it round, ink and stamp again. There we go. So it's not about having like these perfect images. It's about building that texture so that we're not putting pure white onto cream backgrounds, because that kind of looks a bit wrong. Okay, and let's get a blending brush. And I'm going to go back to my antique linen again. And I'm just going to go all over my stamping. Now, you may find, particularly if you are working with a newer distress ink, that your stamping will smudge slightly. But that is fine. It's all part of that kind of texture that we want to introduce into the background. And if you wanted to, you could use your stencils, your embossing folders to actually kind of enhance that, and then do the blending over the top to pull out that pattern. Okay, so once we have kind of a base coat of antique linen, we can go back to our brush corduroy and pull that in. Now, this is going to be super strong, particularly if it's a newer pad, so just be aware of that and just be a little bit more gentle. Now, when I'm working direct onto my sticky mat like this, there's nowhere to actually kind of tap off the brush before. So if you have like a blending mat, you can do it onto that But for me, while I'm live, it's a little bit easier to just kind of leave this in situ and go from there. Okay, so that's going to do for that one. So that's going to go onto our cover, and just to save you kind of watching me stick things down, I'm going to set that to one side, and I will try and put up a photo of everything that I can try and cover. So, what time are we on? 25 minutes, sheesh. This is speed crafting today, I have to say. So yeah, I'm on a tight schedule. So, next piece that I'm doing is basically our 12 by 12, if I put these two back together, cut in half down the centre. Then what I've done is I've used that height measurement from my notebook to actually work out from the centre spot of the long length of the sheet. And then I've divided what's left into 3, or as close to as I can. So in this case, because of the size of my notebook, it works out at 9mm, 9mm and 10mm. And that's going to give me my concertina fold for my pocket. And you're going to want to use that same measurement all the way round. And then in the corners, you're going to be left with a square that you're going to cut away, and another square that you're going to cut away. Okay. So if you need me to photograph any of these, just let me know. I will keep that one out just in case we do end up actually needing to do that. So once you've done that and you've scored everything, then you can actually create the pocket. So if you want to stamp onto this first, do it before you do this fold. But just because time is ticking, I just wanted to kind of show you how this works. We're going to fold this first tab in. Then on the next score line, we're going to fold it back on itself, like so. Like that. And you want to really crease down these folds well. And we're going to fold this last one in. So you should have something that looks like this. So spring. Now we're going to do the same again. So in, back out, and in again. And same this side. So in, back out. If it does right back, particularly if you're using thicker card, just be patient with it. It will get there. There we go. And back in again to finish that off. Okay, so now we've got these like little mountains, and if we fold these in, we can see they kind of clash. So you either want to cut them at 45 degrees, or you can kind of use like your corner rounder, but you may find that that still clashes a little bit. So let's get the scissors and just trim that away. I've also done the same for my glue tabs as well, just so that they end up nice and neat. So you can do that to each of those little mountains, so that we get a nice neat finish. One last one. You'll be finding these flying everywhere as well. Makes a change from the little window frames that I've been snipping out this week. If you've been doing like advent houses and stuff, I'm sure you've found like little bits flying everywhere. You'll be hoovering between that and the snow off the Christmas tree. Okay, so at the top edge again, we can also round those off if we want to, just to kind of make that feel a little bit neater. Now these ones you can definitely do with the corner rounder. So let's go for the middle corner around. It looks about right. And again. So in we go. Give it a wiggle. And a snip. So you should now have something that looks like that. So we now have our accordion, start of our pocket, and one of the waste pieces that I was left with is going to be the top of our pocket. So this is the same paper that you can see that we used on the front here, and I just cut that in half just to kind of give me a nice pocket to go over the top. Now if you want to kind of have that flap really easy to use, you can score that across and then fold it over, or in this case we can just tape it just so it kind of stays that little bit flatter. Now in terms of my notebook, I actually have information that comes pre-printed in these, so you can decide whether you want to keep that or if you want to cover it up. Now personally, knowing what I want to do in terms of schedule next year, then I'm actually going to leave that in, and I'm going to build my pocket on my first page. Now what I would say with this first page is the paper in the notebook itself is actually quite flimsy, so I thought what I would do is actually give it a little bit of reinforcement. Rather than gluing several pages together, I thought I would just take another sheet of the same paper, and again I've trimmed that to size. I'm going to peel back that edge, and then we can pop that in, and that should reinforce our page for us to add our pocket to. So let's fold the strip. It's easier if the strip is a straight line, like so. And I'm going to try and line this up to the edge of my paper. Now, this is a book, so your page won't sit quite flush to your cover, so don't line it up with the wrong bit. And then once you're on there, you can peel back and away you go. Now in terms of the width of this page, I've actually purposely left it a little bit short, and that means then that this bit here can act a bit like a hinge, so that it still folds nice and shut when we actually flip between the pages. Okay, so with that reinforced, then we can actually create a pocket. You're going to need some strong tape, so that's either your red liner tape, or if you have some of the blue, that will do too. And I'm just going to stick that as close to the folded edge as possible. Okay, and I'm going to go all the way around, and I've actually done a pocket for the front and pocket for the back at the moment, so that's kind of my plan so far, rather than doing a pocket per month. Okay, so let's start with this big long strip here. And I'm going to kind of peel that part back from each corner. Or at least try to. There's always going to be one corner that is awkward, and the other one comes off first time. There we go. Okay. So with your two tabs kind of sticking outside of your pocket. Don't try and do it with it inside, it gets a bit more awkward. We're going to line up the tips of our fold, so just here, to the edge of our page. And I'm going to kind of try to miss the rounded corner. Otherwise, you've kind of got to worry about then having to punch through an awful lot of layers of card, and I don't want to have to do that. I don't think my punch is strong enough. If you've got like something like a corner jumper, then you should be alright. Okay, there we go. And peel that out. So you should then have your pocket fixed like so. If I just kind of give that a tug, so you can see that we've got our gusset in there and it's stuck down inside as straight as possible. And we can do corner and corner. Come on. It's one of those moments where you wish you had more nails. Come on. There's always one, isn't there? Just wants to go, no, I'm not coming off today. Good news is that there's going to be an edited replay of this. So that bit will be quicker. Okay. So let's get this one tucked in. And you want to fold your gusset so that that bit is lying flat. And then you can stick down the side, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, the first side of your pocket is done. And we can do the same for the opposite side. Okay. And tuck that back underneath, hold down the bottom edge gusset, and then you can do your sides. And we have a pocket with capacity as well, so if I just hold that up, so we've got room for whatever we need to put in there, whether that's samples or notes to self. If you're anything like me, then you've got post-it notes galore that end up needing somewhere to go. So they can go in there. Okay, now I can do my top of my pocket. And as I said, I'm not going to do a score or anything, so this is kind of going to be my closure as well. So we can just put our tape along the edge without the rounded corners. So I thought it would be good to round the corner on this piece, means we haven't rounded the bottom of the pocket. Just so that we're kind of echoing that rounded corner. Okay. Press that down and away we go. So with my reinforcement, what my thinking is to have like an area that is almost like a corkboard in my notebook. So you know how we left that gap here for the hinge? We want to try and do the same on this side. So try and line it up. And you should be able to see pretty easily actually where that line goes to. And then we have a little flap with our pocket. And there we go. Nicely done. And then it's all about the decoration. So looking at the time, and like I said, constrained for time today, I think I'm going to leave it there, and I will take some photographs so that you can kind of see those pages decorated. And thank you for joining me, and next time I see you it'll be 2025. So have fun and see you then. Bye.